YouTube, what's poppin'? AKA East New York's finest, hosted by Mike. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I don't know. It's some weird shit, man. I do want to talk about collecting and where I'm at and what I've been getting and all that nature, but some weird shit. Like I've been posting some crazy shit on Facebook Marketplace. Like, I mean, as I always do, I speak my mind, and depending on what I see, I just say what's on it. And I got restricted on Facebook. I really don't give a shit if they restrict me from videos or whatever. I speak my mind, and I don't really give a flying fuck how others view it or what they think. Because I spit the truth regardless of how controversial it is. Because at the end of the day, there's no controversy in me and how I feel. And, you know, if things are what they are, and if it's, you know, in plain sight, plain view, and it makes common sense. You know, I'm not a discreet person. I don't believe in discretion. I believe in calling it for what the fuck it is and being straightforward. And unfortunately, we live in a society and a world where you're supposed to hide your feelings and just sit there and placate everybody else's. And if somebody feels like, if a black man feels like he's a 32-year-old white-headed woman with blonde hair and big breasts, and you're supposed to sit there and bow to that and agree with that. I don't agree with that. You know, I say, you know, you feel whatever you want to feel. You do and be whatever the fuck you want to be. But if I know you as Billy and you want to be called Brenda, guess what? I guess I'm not going to be calling you or even acknowledging you, because that's just the way I feel. I feel like you should love, like, and have whatever sexual orientation or whatever you want. That's your business. But don't make it my business by parading it around in front of me and thinking I'm going to be A-okay with that. I think kids should be kids. Kids have enough stress and enough craziness going on in the world between bullying, cyberbullying, social media, peer pressure, and all that other shit. Last thing kids need nowadays is to learn about somebody who wants to cut off their penis and female that want to be this and that. I see way too often too many, you know, young men, young boys and girls run around holding each other's hands and kissing, and I find it sickening. And the reason why I find it sickening is because I think it's more of a trend, more of a force of trend than anything. Because it's not even about well, society makes it more acceptable. No, I think peer pressure and just the dynamic of it makes it sickening to where kids feel like they have to be accepted by doing things that generally they wouldn't do. When I was a kid growing up, you know, we didn't have fucking cell phones. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had rotary phones. First of all, we didn't even fucking have the regular button or, you know, wireless. You know what I mean? Like, you had the rotary phone, and, you know, the cord. Anyway, it's crazy, and you had to pay for long distance and all that. And if you had money, you had MCI. You know what I'm saying? MCI had long distance, and I think AT&T, because where I come from in New York, in the 5 boroughs, you know, everybody had South Bell. Before it was called Verizon, or it was South Bell and Atlantic Bell. One of the two. And New York Telephone Company, and, you know, people who had AT&T or MCI were the people that had bread, because that's how you got long distance. Anyway, it's crazy. But again, I feel like you should love, and, you know, you like and love what you want to be and who you want. But I don't think it's right to take impressionable children and try to force all this sick shit down their throat. They already have enough to worry about. Like, they can go outside, try to go to school, and get kidnapped by a whole bunch of freaks. Even freaks that wear badges and guns. Because let's face it, a lot of police are hired, and, you know, a lot of city officials and other individuals, you know, are into people, not only kids, men and women being kidnapped, and teenagers being kidnapped and basically sold into prostitution. I mean, it's not, oh yeah, you watch too many movies. No. Let me tell you something about movies. People don't just come up with ideas in their heads. This is things that you perceive, you see, you image, or you imagine and stuff, because it's stuff that's out there in the world that is real, and your imagination only goes as far as what you see. It's not even just about what you know or what you think. You see what you think what you see, and you imagine what you see, and you imagine your thoughts. So therefore, things have to be real in order for you to have that image in your head. You know what I'm saying? So with that basically being said, I'm gonna leave it as that. So I just think that a lot of it is craziness. Again, I don't have no qualms with homosexuals, bisexuals, pansexual, whatever the fuck you consider yourself. But, you know, don't try to force that shit down my throat, because I'm not having it. I'll respect you and yours, but don't try to force anything on me, because I'm not going to have it, and I'm going to be ultimately violently disrespectful. And don't try to force it down my kinfolk's throat, because, you know, in my house, you know, I raise men to wear underwear. I raise my daughter to wear panties. I raise my daughter to be a woman, and I teach her and raise her to don't not only backtalk men, but don't get up in a man's face because you're not a man. And I teach my boys, don't get up in the female's face because you're not a female. And, you know, unless somebody is about to cause physical bodily harm to you, leave it alone, let it go. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I raise. I don't raise my boys to sit there and think what Bruce Jenner did is normal. There's nothing normal about going against nature. It's that simple. I mean, if nature wanted us to be like a lot of people are, you would be born a what do they call it, hermaphrodite or something like that, or you would have both sexual organs. And since I don't know how many, I don't know the percentage or the statistics of it. I know they do exist, but I thankfully have not crossed any of them or known anything about it other than what I've seen in videos and shit that I think it's kind of freaky, but and not in a good way. But that's just my thoughts, you know. But then again, I have my own thoughts on being black and being raised in the ghetto and the system, because I have those experiences, being that I've been black for a very long time, let alone I'm from the ghetto and been in the ghetto and seen a lot of crazy shit in the ghetto for a long time. So my experiences on how I feel about certain groups of people and things of that nature, these are not my personal rants or stereotypes of them. This is just what is not, like stereotype is just basically a stereotype or prejudice or bigotry or whatever. But, you know, when you experience certain things with a certain amount of people in these specific groups and stuff, you are going to have your own perceptions on how you feel about those certain groups. Not only because you dealt with one out of two. Me, for instance, if I deal with, I would say more like 8 to 10 out of 40 or 50, my percentages toward that group of people are going to be a lot higher because of the laws of averages I've dealt with those individual groups. I'm going to have my own thoughts in my head on how I feel about those certain groups because I've dealt with a decent amount of percentage of those people. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I go on. So whether people dislike me because I say I don't really care for a lot of people in this group or that group, to each his own, man. You know, to each his own. Again, I have these specific experiences with these groups, and it was more than, I would say more than 8 and more. I would say more than 10, about 8 to 10 of people in this specific race or races, along with certain groups and different religions. So my perception on how I feel about my prejudices toward them are very high in my favor on how I feel about them because of the averages I've dealt with them. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't know what else to say. Anyhow, moving on. Speaking of races and stuff, before we brought this house here, we had another house in Queens, in Auburn, or Auburn by the Sea, which is like the beach 60s and the Rockaways. Basically above Edgemere, which is ironic considering that Edgemere is, I mean, it's not Far Rockaway. Far Rockaway is like around Mott Street and, you know, it's like almost going toward Five Towns and shit like that. But they call it the Rockaways because it's like a whole area. I mean, it's basically southeast of Brooklyn or the other parts. Yeah. You know, like we're basically like, if you're like, it's hard to explain geographically. It's hard to explain. You have to be a New Yorker and in the Queens area to get it because we're like really considered Queens, but we're kind of like Long Island. It's weird. But anyhow, because you got like Reese Park, you got Rockaway Park, Breezy Point, which is basically like, I guess if you think of Essex County, Breezy Point would be like the Montclair of the Rockaways. It's basically like where all the crazy $1 million mansions are and all that other shit. It's basically like the edge of the Rockaways going east north, which is like going back toward Brooklyn, and going back toward like the Coney Island, Sheepshead Bay area of Brooklyn, like if that makes any sense. For those I mean, obviously, if you don't know the geographies of New York and that area, you would probably be like, all you hear is womp 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 womp. Anyway, but anyhow, so we had a neighbor. Now she broke the mold on how I felt about a lot of Africans, and I say that in a positive way toward her, because she was from Nigeria. Her name was Anatola, and just like my wife and I, along with our children, her and her husband had 3. Of course, she was opposite. The reason I'm saying opposite is because our daughter, Michelle, is the oldest, then Mike Jr., and then Isaiah. And with her, I don't remember her kids' names, but with her, the daughter was the youngest, then you had the middle son, and you had the oldest son. Now, ironically, the daughter basically had her mother's spunk and attitude, but it looked like a carbon copy of her father. While the middle son looked like the mom, but had the, no. Yeah. I was right. So the middle son looked exactly like a carbon copy of the mother, but had the attitude of the father, because the father was very quiet, very humble, real cool, down to earth. I mean, we spent plenty of time breaking bread with each other and going back and forth from each other's houses during the holiday, which ironically, because their house, like the house we had that we sold. I mean, all the houses on our block, which is on DeCosta Avenue, at like Beach 64th and 5th. We were on the back end, which is like, you can look out, because we had tenants, but we lived on the second floor with the balcony. That's the apartment we took, and it was 3-bedroom, and we had a terrace in the front and everything. And in a master bedroom, the difference between a master bedroom or a suite bedroom is a suite bedroom or a suite master bedroom has a bathroom. And so we had, in our apartment, there was 2 bathrooms on the second floor and the first. The first also had it, but they didn't have a terrace. A terrace. I always say terrace. And anyway, but from our master bedroom suite, if you have binoculars, you can see inside of the fucking you can see inside of JFK's tower, like the actual watchtower or airplane tower, control tower, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And airplanes flew so fucking low that you can actually, with a pair of binoculars, you can actually look at the fucking grooves on the landing gear. Like when I tell you I can wrap a towel around my arm and light it on fire and calmly walk down the stairs out the door, and literally, because like the house that they had was at the corner of Beach 64 and DeCosta, and I could because like right across from them was like marsh. It was almost marsh and shit like that, and there was no house there. I mean, we were so far in the back that there was no alternate side parking at all where we were. And I can literally walk around the corner and put my arm in the Jamaica Bay, aka Atlantic Ocean, whatever you want to call it. I can literally put my fucking arm in the Jamaica Bay. And I can literally take my time. That's how far or close we were to the water, to Jamaica Bay. Like literally, like no bullshit. I can literally wrap a thick towel around my fucking arm and light it on fire and calmly walk down the fucking stairs to the corner and then to the next corner and literally put the fucking fire out with the Jamaica Bay water. That is not exaggeration. That's how close we were to the water. And right across from the water, I mean, obviously if you were a great swimmer, you had the JFK airport. So we were literally like the airplanes. I mean, if you love airplanes, you could stay on my balcony for fucking months just looking at these planes come in. Like, just hearing them. I mean, it was just fucking beautiful. I loved it. And anyway, so she was that house at the corner. But the owner of that house lived in Florida, and she was basically like the super for the house. They had tenants on the first floor, and they lived on the second. And then once the tenants left, she just basically paid rent for the second floor. She basically kept the house alive for the owner. But I know after we sold our house, I think a year or two later, she moved, and they moved to Rockaway, to Far Rock, which is around Mott Street, and going toward Nassau County, which is going the opposite way of where we were. Like in the Beach Tens areas and whatnot. But anyway, she was a very nice, cool woman, man. And her name is Anatola. Fucking beautiful woman. Dark skinned, beautiful African sister. Definitely younger than, I think me and my wife got, I got everybody for about 5 years. I would say I was probably about, I think I'm safe to say about maybe 15 years older than her. I think she was more like around, her and her husband were more around my wife's age. And, you can always tell when they were outside, whether either going or coming, because her daughter always screamed. Like, her daughter was spoiled compared to the other two sons. She was real strict on the boys and more lenient on the daughter. The husband, of course, the daughter melted in his hands. But real good kids, other than the fact that her daughter always screamed a lot. And I used to always mess with her because she always used to have these pocketbooks. And they're like, give me my damn pocketbook. And she's like, ah! But her scream was like deafening. It was ridiculous. She would be like, I guess if she would be like the African, African American or American African, whatever. She would be like the black little version of fucking Siren. Like, this girl's scream was, she went from being cute and you liking her to you wanting to take her fucking head and smash it through the fucking concrete. That's how deafening her scream was. But other than that, they were great kids. And me and the husband, we always spoke, but my wife and her were real cool and talked a lot, and me and her as well. The husband was kind of to himself, but he wasn't like an asshole. We always spoke, and we go over their house or vice versa. Everybody always had conversations, and real cool guy, man, for an African dude. Because a lot of them are very arrogant and self-centered, like some of his friends. But he wasn't like that. Neither was Anatola. And her kids were Americanized, and obviously they were born here. And me and her, we always speak. She speaks a lot with my wife, but she'll call me out of the blue every 6 to 9 months, or sometimes even weeks apart. And I posted a lot of crazy shit on Facebook Marketplace, and I always wondered. I was like, damn, I'm surprised she never responded or said nothing about a lot of the crazy shit I put up there, like my thoughts on religion and stuff. I don't believe in any of that, by the way. And but when I post up hospital state, she always responds. But I was like, maybe she's busy. And it's funny because not yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. I think either Tuesday or Wednesday. Not to be graphic, I was either going to use the bathroom, or I was either going to use the bathroom or I was going to take a shower. One or the other. An image of her fucking head. I shit you not, on everything, on everybody and everything I love and owning this fucking earth. I had an image of Anatola's face. And now, mind you, her daughter looked like the father, and the middle son looked like her, and the oldest son didn't look like neither of them. But he was the jokester. He was always joking, because the middle son was, quiet and calm like the father. And the daughter was like, well, not to say that Anatola screamed a lot and stuff, but she was very spunky and straight outspoken. She was like a African female version of me. Like, she spoke her fucking mind, and she definitely wore the pants in that house. She was straight up. I loved this family. And yes, they were African. That may shock you guys, because you guys really know I really don't care for a lot of them people. I don't. But I don't care for a lot of Jews neither. But I am cool with some. So, again, whatever. Anyway, so I already forgot what the fuck I was saying. Oh, yeah. So, I was going to do I was either going to use the toilet or I was going to take a shower. One of the two. And I had an image of Anatola's face. And I was like, that was weird. And then I just thought of her daughter screaming. That her scream was, again, deafening. And I just, for some reason, I just smirked. And I was like, damn, what the fuck was that about? Let me tell you something. Now, she introduced me. Now, even back then, I was buying storage units, and I was also buying pallets of stuff. And I got a pallet of stuff, and I know she was opening a store, and she had a lot of friends, a lot of African friends, and like a lot of Caribbeans. They like to send shit to their country and whatever. And I remember I had a box truck and a U-Haul, and I had a lot of shit from the pallets in this U-Haul. And she's like, "Hey Mike, I got a friend, and I had a lot of like cosmetics, toiletries, and towels, and a lot of shit." And they both basically brought me out. Of course, I gave them a great discount. I mean, it was like probably about 60, I'll say close to 60% less than what they would have paid for in a store, which they were happy. I made money. Like, I would say my profit was about 85% of what I paid for the stuff, which is fucking phenomenal. And for them, they basically paid almost 40% of what they would have paid in a store. That may not make sense to you guys, but again, that's how cheap the back in 14, no, I would say 15, 16, 2015-ish, 2016, stuff was a lot cheaper and more affordable than anywhere what it is now. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because her friend, now I haven't heard from this lady in ages. I think I only met her twice, and out of 2 times, she brought stuff for me the first time, and the second time, I guess she was busy, and I wound up getting rid of stuff and whatever. Now, remember what I said about Anatola's image and stuff like that, right? And then, like, the last time me and Anatola spoke, because I know normally when she called me, she'll say, "Hey, I just got the phone with my sister," which mean that with my wife Marjorie, because she always called her sister and she always called me Mike, or "Hey brother, what's going on?" And I always knew who it was. I know she was doing another store. She was doing Uber and a lot of other stuff, because we had a lot of conversations, and we were talking about her son, because her son, she was so proud that her oldest son, the one I said he's a trickster, like the one that doesn't look like her or her husband, which is funny because the 2 youngest look like it's opposite. Like the son looks like her and the daughter looks like the father, but they both have their own attitudes. And anyway, so he got into the military. He went into the Marine Corps. And she's like, "Yo, you gotta come and see him," and and I was like, "Yeah, that's what's up." And I was like, "I don't know if your kid's gonna recognize me, because it's been years now." And I said, I don't have the Mr. T haircut no more, and I lost a lot of weight. And they were kind of younger, so they may not remember me. But she said, "Oh, but they see your face on Facebook all the time." And my daughter's always asking, where's the guy who's always trying to take my bags from me? And mind you, her daughter, I think that at the time was maybe 6, maybe no, I'll say about 4. Something like that, because Isaiah was in grade school, and I think I think when we moved, he was like going on 7 or something like that. Or anyway, so her daughter had to be like 3 or 4. So I can't believe she remembered me. But anyway, speaking of the image and going back to that, so I get a phone call yesterday, a 516 number. So I'm like, I wonder who that could be. I'm thinking of my boy Troy or his wife, or I'm just like, okay, 516. It's Long Island. It's a Long Island area code. So normally when there's a number I don't recognize, I'm very defensive and almost standoffish, disrespectful on the phone, because you get these Indian, "I would let them speak to blah, 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 blah," and they love to try to scam you and all that shit. So I'm very defensive when I pick up the phone and I don't recognize the phone call. I'm very blunt and very sharp, like barkish to anybody. And just because I want them to know that I'm not playing these fucking games and I don't got time for this. And lady picked the phone, and she did say her name, but I didn't remember it. And I was like, and she was telling me, she was talking to me, and she's like, "Yeah, well, da, da." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, so I'm calm, and I got this patience, and that's not me. So I don't know if you guys can tell me what the fucking make of it, but it was real weird, because that is not me. I mean, I answered the phone like a gentleman, which is nothing gentle about me. And I was very calm and patient and like just civilized. And then she told me, "Hey, Anatola died." And I was like, "What?" I let out this crazy squeaking what? And to be honest, I did almost break down. She can hear the cracking in my voice. She said, "Brother, please keep it together." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember you now. You brought stuff." She said, "Yeah, that's right." And I'm like, "Yo, so when did she pass?" And she's like, "Yeah, she she died of, I ain't gonna say what she died of, but she said, yeah, she died in December. And I'm like, yo. And let me tell y'all something. I was actually going to call her and ask her how everybody was doing around Christmas. And I was like, yo, I gotta call her to see what she made she made some jollof rice and shit for Thanksgiving. Because again, you know, we always did Thanksgiving and Christmas at my house there. And we all made food. So she would take the American foods that her husband and kids like, and we'll do vice versa, because they love my mac and cheese and candy yams. I mean, my family's from the South, and my cornbread. So we would always do that. And I don't know why or how I forgot, because I wasn't gonna do Thanksgiving. I wasn't gonna do nothing big, and same thing for Christmas. And for some reason, for about a couple of days in November and in December, I was thinking of her husband and kids, real strong. And I said, yo, I gotta call her. But I was like, fuck it, she'll call me, because she always does. And it was just so fucking weird that this lady told me in December. Now, mind you, between Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm either taking a shower or using the bathroom. Her image of her fucking face as I'm going in the bathroom popped right in my head, like if I just watched, like I'm watching me right now on this fucking camera. Like, I'm talking about sharp as a fucking, it's sharp, and I can't explain it, y'all. Spooky shit. And this lady I only met twice, only did business with once, that I met through Anatola, calls me out of the blue. Just calls me, and she's like, yeah, I saw the number, and I'm like, oh, I think this is so-and-so, and we were just talking for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, yo, you gotta be kidding me. So the whole time she's talking to me, everything is, all I'm hearing what she's saying, but then it's like, wah, 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 and it's going out the other ear, because I'm just sitting here freaking out, and I'm like, yo, I just fucking thought about her and her daughter the other fucking day. Now, mind you, this is last night, so when I'm thinking of the other day, I'm either thinking of Tuesday or Wednesday, so I'm fucking freaking out on the phone, like, yo, and with me, the way I think about subliminals and shit, I'm like, yo, what was, like, even when I've had some weird dreams. And I'm always, sometimes depending on how devastating the dreams are, it takes me a lot more than days. It takes me a week or more to start trying to decipher what that means. And I've actually even went online, because I've had some real disturbing, I'm not going to repeat it, some real disturbing dreams that it was so horrifying that I wish I just went to sleep and never woke up. I'm talking about like some devastating shit. And it was just so fucking weird, man. And it was like, and then I'm in my massage chair and tears start coming to my eyes. Like, I don't feel emotional but you know, I'm talking about like my shirt, I had to change my fucking shirt. My beard was wet. And I'm sitting in my massage chair for like 30 minutes, because normally I do 20, then 25, then 30, and I do different settings. And I'm just sitting there, and I know I did the stretch, because I'm leaned all the way back, and it's stretching me out. And I'm like, damn, and my face is itching. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh shit, and I'm doing this, and my fucking beard, you would have swore I was in the shower. My beard, like right here, it was all wet. And my shirt was, I'm talking about like almost fucking, like, I mean, dude, I lost my brother. I've lost all types of family members and good friends. And I can't believe it. And I didn't have no sorrow, no emotions. Like, when I say emotions, I mean, like, you know how, like, you know, you're emotional when you cry. I cannot fucking explain it, y'all. It was crazy. And I was just like, what the fuck was that about? And I just kept thinking about it. And everything she was telling me echoed in my ear. Like, it was crazy. Everything just echoed in my fucking ear for hours. I woke up thinking about this shit. And I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. And I was like, yo, I got to do a YouTube video on toys and stuff. And I'm talking about this. But it's just so fucking weird, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, I can't explain it. Like, and it's funny because around the holidays we always talk, always. Even around sometimes for Halloween, because I've always done a lot of candy for Halloween because we have a lot of kids in the neighborhood versus here. And her kids will always come over and get some candy and stuff too, because I will always be at my front porch and just hand out fucking $40-$50 worth of candy, sometimes even more. But yeah, it was crazy, man, and I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why Tuesday or Wednesday I was going to use either the restroom or take a shower, and an image of her face just fucking popped up in my head, like I'm looking at my face right now as I'm talking to you guys. It was just real fucking weird. Then I thought of her daughter screaming, and I just started like laughing, like chuckling a little bit, like damn, like it was crazy, man. And I get a phone call from a lady I met twice, did business with once, and this lady remember my fucking number. And out of all these years, she calls me and told me this lady passed away months ago, which is ironic considering that she was battling something, and I was thinking about her for a lot of days back to back in November around Thanksgiving, but I wasn't really in the Thanksgiving mood, and I forgot what we did. We did do Thanksgiving, but it wasn't as big as it normally is, and it was just us in the house. But it was just, I couldn't explain it then. And then I said, oh, well, I'll call around Christmas and see how everybody's doing. And just like that happened, and then all of a sudden we started getting all this snow and shit, and I was like, she'll call me, because, you know, whatever. Sometimes we go 6-7 months without hearing from each other, and then we'll just have these conversations like we spoke 2 days ago. And just like that, get a phone call, and lady's like, oh, you know, and Anatola passed away. And I'm like, then I said to myself, well, damn, why this lady took so long to tell me this? Like, she had my number all this time. Why she didn't say nothing before? So I was thinking of that as I'm talking to her, and I'm repeating this shit over. Anyway, I don't want to keep sounding repetitive. I just found it really spooky and weird, man. Like, I can't not explain it. It was just so fucking weird. And my plan was not even to speak on this for this long. But I like giving a lot of background and what makes me say and why I'm talking my videos. I like to be is visual and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I just like to really go in on why I brought this up and all that shit. I don't know why, but it's just real fucking weird, man. And I was gonna do a video. I mean, I was gonna talk about this and then, you know, talk about toys and all this other stuff, but I don't even want to cheapen it with that. So I'm gonna do another video right after this one. Because I really want to, like, I think this subject is just too sensitive, and I'm a very intelligent guy, but I have no thoughts on this. I don't understand none of this shit. Like, I can't explain it. I cannot explain this shit. Like, let me just tell you guys something, man. If you got people you cool with and you love, man, don't take nobody for granted, man. Just call them, see how they doing. And I feel real guilty and bad because, like I said, I was just thinking about her around Thanksgiving and around Christmas. And then an image of her just popped up in my head a day or two before I get a phone call from somebody I met twice and did business with once, and told me that she passed away months ago around the same. I mean, she was alive in around November and passed away in December. Like, how fucking weird is that? Like, yo, that shit is crazy. Just fucking weird shit, man. Anyway, y'all, peace.